My fiancé whispered, I still love my ex. 2 weeks before our 180 guest wedding, I said, then go be with him. Quietly canceled everything, sold the house, and requested a transfer out of state. She thought it was a bluff until the moving truck showed up. Look, I need to get this off my chest because I'm still processing what happened. And honestly, I feel like I'm living in some alternate reality where I actually had the guts to do what most guys only fantasize about when they're lying awake at 3 in the morning imagining worst-case scenarios. I'm 33, regional sales manager for an industrial equipment company based in Dallas. Been in this role for 5 years, worked my way up from sales rep making cold calls and getting doors slammed in my face. The job's demanding, but I'm good at it. Travel maybe once a month, usually just overnight trips. Make decent money. Not Silicon Valley rich, but comfortable enough to have options and not stress about the mortgage. Been with my fiancée Kennedy for 2.5 years. She's 30, works as an interior designer. One of those people who can walk into a room and immediately tell you why your furniture arrangement is giving you anxiety. She was good at her job, had this whole Instagram presence going, did consultations for people renovating their homes, got featured in local magazines. We met at a mutual friend's housewarming party 3 years ago. She was there professionally. I was there drinking free beverages and pretending to care about crown molding. We started talking. She laughed at my jokes. I appreciated that she could explain the difference between eggshell and ivory without making me feel like an idiot. Got her number. Had our first date that week. First year was great. Normal relationship stuff. We'd go out to dinner, she'd drag me to art galleries, I'd drag her to Rangers games. She seemed happy. I was happy. Her friends liked me. My friends liked her. Year 2, we moved in together. Bought a house in Richardson, nice suburb, good schools for the future kids we talked about, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, decent backyard for the dog I'd always wanted. She went crazy designing the kitchen. 8 months of picking out subway tile and arguing with contractors. I didn't care much about any of it, just wanted her to have what made her happy. We got engaged 18 months ago. I proposed at the Fort Worth Botanic Gardens on a Sunday afternoon in October. Nothing crazy elaborate, just us and a photographer I hired. Bought the ring she'd been subtly showing me for 3 months. Got down on one knee by the Japanese garden. She cried. I cried a little. It felt right. Wedding planning started immediately. Kennedy had a Pinterest board with 847 pins. She knew exactly what she wanted. The venue, the flowers, the color scheme. Dusty blue and sage green. I showed up to meetings, nodded when appropriate, and wrote checks. That's what you do as a groom. The wedding was supposed to be this Saturday. 8 actual days from the moment everything imploded. We had the venue booked at this barn-style place outside Dallas that Kennedy found after visiting 23 different locations. String lights in the rafters, big windows overlooking a pond. Cost a fortune, but she loved it. We had 180 guests confirmed. My side was maybe 60 people. Her side was huge. She came from one of those families where third cousins twice removed get wedding invitations. The catering was finalized. We'd done the tasting menu 3 times because Kennedy kept changing her mind. Finally settled on herb-crusted chicken and grilled salmon with some vegetarian option. Our photographer had already done our engagement shoot. We went to White Rock Lake at sunset. Got some decent shots. Kennedy posted them everywhere. The band was locked in. Our flights to Cabo for the honeymoon were paid for. All-inclusive resort. 5 nights. Kennedy had researched it for 3 months. We'd done all the things you're supposed to do. Saved the dates 9 months in advance. Registered at 3 stores. Had a couples shower. Had a tasting menu event with both families that somehow didn't end in a fight. My groomsmen were set. Best man was Garrett, my buddy from college. 4 other guys. We'd already done the bachelor party. Low-key trip to Austin. Came home Sunday with mild hangovers and no regrets. Kennedy's bachelorette party was Nashville. She came back with a hangover and 600 new Instagram followers. Everything was handled. Everything was perfect. I had my suit tailored. Kennedy had her dress altered. We'd written our vows. Practiced our first dance. Thursday night, 2 weeks before the wedding, we're doing our final prep meeting with our wedding planner, Riley. She's one of those hyper-organized people with a clipboard and headset. We're at our dining room table going over every detail. Ceremony starts at 5. Cocktail hour at 6. Reception at 7. First dance at 8. Cake cutting at 9. Send-off at 10:30 with sparklers. Riley's going through her checklist. Confirming vendor arrival times. Making sure the signature drinks are still what we want. Kennedy had insisted on 2 custom cocktails. Kennedy seemed quieter than usual. Kept checking her phone. Barely asked questions. I figured she was overwhelmed. Her mom kept calling about the weather. My dad was weird about his toast. Standard pre-wedding nonsense. Riley left around 11. Kennedy and I were in the kitchen. I was making a list of last-minute items we needed to grab from Target the next day. Batteries for the sparklers. Backup makeup for Kennedy's bridesmaids, in case someone forgot theirs. Some specific kind of tape for the gift table. Lint rollers. A steamer for the tablecloths. I was writing it all down on this magnetic notepad we keep on the fridge. Then Kennedy just starts crying. Not like cute sniffling tears. Full-on ugly sobbing. The kind where you can't catch your breath and your face goes all blotchy and your shoulders shake. I immediately put down my pen. Went over to her. Put my hand on her back. Asked what's wrong. My first thought was her mom. Her mother has this special gift for picking exactly the wrong moment to criticize something Kennedy's excited about. Last week it was the bridesmaid dresses being the wrong shade. Before that, it was the flowers not being seasonal enough. Before that, it was the font on the invitations being too modern. Kennedy looks at me with mascara running down her face in these black streaks and says Blake texted me. The name hits me like a brick to the chest. Blake. Her college boyfriend from 6 years ago. Texas Tech. They dated for 3 years, junior year through a year after graduation. She thought he was it, the one. They'd talked about getting married, looked at rings together, discussed where they'd live after graduation, made plans for their future. Then Blake got this job offer in Chicago. Corporate finance, big firm, couldn't pass it up. Kennedy was working at a design firm here in Dallas. They tried long distance for 4 months. She'd fly up once a month. He'd come down when he could. They'd FaceTime every night. But he was traveling constantly for work. She was building her career here. They'd see each other maybe twice a month if they were lucky. It fell apart slowly, then all at once. They'd fight about the distance. He'd cancel visits because of work. She'd get frustrated that he wasn't making time. Eventually, they had the talk. Mutual decision, she'd said when she told me about it on our 4th or 5th date, but I could tell it wrecked her. She'd mentioned it took her over a year before she was ready to date again. That she'd really thought he was going to be her husband. She'd mentioned Blake maybe 5 times total in our entire relationship. Always carefully. Always with this look on her face like it still hurt to think about. I never pushed, never asked questions. Everyone has history. Everyone has that one person who got away. I figured it was ancient history that didn't matter anymore. Apparently, I figured wrong. I'm standing there processing this information, trying to stay calm, thinking, okay, weird timing for an ex to reach out, but people do that sometimes. Maybe he heard through mutual friends about the wedding. Maybe he wanted to wish her well. Some kind of closure thing. I'm trying not to be that insecure guy who freaks out over an ex-boyfriend sending a congratulations text. Then Kennedy continues. Blake's divorced now. His marriage ended 6 months ago. He's moving back to Dallas next month. Took a position at his old firm downtown. He reached out because he wanted to see her when he gets back. My stomach drops, but I'm still holding it together. Still giving her the benefit of the doubt. Still thinking this is just wedding jitters. Just emotions running high because of the big life change coming up. Lots of people get nervous before their wedding. It's normal. It doesn't mean anything. Then she completely destroys my entire world. She looks at me with tears streaming down her face and says, Mason, I can't marry you on Saturday. I'm still in love with him. Just like that. 8 days before our wedding. After 18 months of engagement. After I put a $12,000 ring on her finger that she spent 2 months picking out. Changed her mind 3 times. Finally went back to the first one she'd tried on. After we'd been living together for 2 years in the house, I bought because she loved the neighborhood and the school district for our future kids. The house with her dream kitchen that she spent 8 months designing down to the cabinet hardware. Matte black fixtures, quartz countertops, custom hood over the range. Under cabinet lighting she'd researched for weeks. I let her make every single decision because I wanted her to have the kitchen she'd always dreamed of. I couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't process what I was hearing. Just stared at her for what felt like an hour, but was probably 2 minutes. Time does this weird thing when your life is ending. It stretches and compresses simultaneously. She's still crying, words tumbling out between sobs. She's so sorry. She didn't know these feelings were still there. She thought she was over him. She really did. But when Blake reached out 3 days ago, when she heard his voice again, when they started texting, she realized she never actually moved on. She just buried those feelings, built a life on top of them, and now they were erupting through the surface like a volcano that had been dormant for years. When I finally found my voice, I asked the only question that actually mattered anymore. Are you calling off the wedding? She hesitates, looks down at her hands, twists the engagement ring around her finger. Then says the words, "I'll never forget. I don't know. I need time to figure out what I want. Can we postpone? Just a few months. Give me space to sort through my feelings. Time to figure out what she wants. 8 days before we're supposed to stand in front of 180 people and promise to spend our lives together. After 2.5 years of building a relationship, after buying a house together, after planning every detail of a wedding down to the napkin colors, something shifted in me right then. This clarity, this cold, absolute certainty about what I needed to do. I told her she had 24 hours to decide. Either she wanted to marry me on Saturday, and Blake could disappear back to whatever life he'd built without her, or she didn't want to marry me, and I'd handle the rest. No postponing. No figuring things out. No keeping me on the back burner while she explored her feelings for another man. No stringing me along while she decided if I was actually what she wanted, or just the safe backup plan. She got upset, started saying I was giving her an ultimatum, that she needed more than 24 hours for such a huge decision, that I was being unfair and not giving her space to process her emotions, that this was a lot to deal with, and she needed time. I told her that was her answer, went to the guest room, closed the door, lay down on the bed and stared at the ceiling. Here's the thing nobody tells you about moments like this. There's this weird clarity that hits you when everything falls apart. Everything suddenly makes sense. All those little things you brushed off because you didn't want to be that paranoid, insecure guy who questions everything. They all line up into this perfect picture you were too close to see before. The way she'd been checking her phone constantly the last few days. The way she'd been distracted during wedding planning meetings. The way she'd suddenly wanted to postpone our honeymoon by a week last week. Said she needed to finish a client project. The way she'd been quiet and distant. I thought she was just stressed about the wedding. Turns out she was having an emotional crisis about another man and couldn't tell me. I didn't sleep that night. Lay there in the guest room, running through every moment of our relationship, trying to figure out if I'd missed something obvious. Wondering if she'd been settling for me this whole time. Wondering if I was just the safe choice after Blake broke her heart 6 years ago. The stable guy. The one who showed up. The one who didn't leave. Friday morning came. Kennedy was still thinking about it. Still hadn't made a decision. Still wanted more time. So I started making calls. Called Riley first. Told her the wedding was canceled. She tried to talk me out of it. Said maybe Kennedy just has cold feet. Said lots of brides get nervous right before the wedding. I shut that down immediately. This wasn't cold feet. This was Kennedy telling me she'd rather be with someone else. That's not nervousness. That's the truth finally coming out. Riley said she'd handle guest notifications. I told her we'd cover all vendor cancellations and eat whatever deposits we lost. She asked if I was sure. I said I'd never been more sure of anything in my life. Called the venue, canceled. Yes, we're eating the $8,000 deposit. No, we're not rescheduling. No, I don't want to transfer it to a different date. Called the caterer. Canceled. Lost another $3,500. Called the photographer. She was actually cool about it. Said she was sorry to hear what happened. Offered to refund half her deposit since she could potentially book someone else with 2 weeks' notice. I told her to keep it all. She'd already done our engagement shoot and put in hours of work. Called the band. Canceled. They kept the deposit. Called the florist. Canceled. Lost another $2,000. Called the transportation company we'd hired for the wedding party. Canceled. Called the hotel where we'd blocked rooms for out-of-town guests. Canceled the block. Called the all-inclusive resort in Cabo. Canceled the honeymoon. Lost the deposits, but whatever. Spent 3 hours on the phone with Riley going through the guest list. All 180 people needed to be notified. She agreed to send out cancellation notices through our wedding website. We kept it vague. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding of Kennedy Williams and Mason Crawford scheduled for Saturday, December 16th, has been canceled. We appreciate your understanding during this difficult time. Then I called my boss, told him I needed to request an immediate transfer to our Denver office. He's known me for 8 years, hired me as a sales rep, mentored me, knows I don't make impulsive decisions, knows I don't ask for favors or special treatment. He asked if everything was okay. I gave him the basic version. Fiancée decided 2 weeks before the wedding that she's still in love with her ex. He was quiet for a minute, then said he'd make some calls and have something set up for me by Tuesday. That the Denver regional manager had been looking for someone solid anyway. That he'd fast-track the transfer. Called our realtor. House goes on the market Monday morning. She tried to suggest we wait. Said the market might be better in spring. Said maybe we should think about this. I told her I needed it listed immediately. Professional photos, staging consultation, the works. Get it sold fast. Called my parents, explained what happened. My mom started crying immediately. My dad was quiet for a long time, then said he'd drive down this weekend with his trailer to help me pack, that I could stay with them in Houston for a few weeks if I needed, that he was proud of me for not staying in a situation where I wasn't valued. My dad went through something similar when I was 16. Not exactly the same, but close enough. My uncle, my mom's younger brother, just up and decided after 20 years of marriage that he needed to find himself. Left his wife and 3 kids. Destroyed his family. My dad watched his sister-in-law spiral into depression. Watched his nieces and nephews struggle. Watched the fallout of someone deciding their feelings mattered more than their commitments. I think that's why he didn't try to talk me out of my decision. He knew exactly what staying looked like. Knew exactly what happens when you try to build a life with someone who can't decide if they actually want you. By noon Friday, I was at Home Depot buying moving boxes and packing tape. Spent $200 on supplies. Came home. Started packing up my stuff. Took down all my diplomas from the home office. Boxed up my books. Started dismantling the garage gym I'd spent 2 years building. Weights, bench press, squat rack, all of it going into boxes. Kennedy came home around 1 in the afternoon to find me loading boxes into my truck. She pulled into the driveway, sat in her car for a minute, then came inside. She completely lost it when she saw what I was doing. Started screaming about how I was overreacting, how I was destroying everything without giving her space to process, how I was being cruel and vindictive and punishing her for being honest about her feelings. I didn't raise my voice, didn't engage, just kept packing. Told her very calmly that I was giving her exactly what she asked for. Time to figure out what she wants, just not with me as an option anymore. She kept saying she never said she didn't love me, that we could work through this, that I was throwing away 2.5 years over one moment of confusion, that everyone has doubts, that this was just cold feet and wedding jitters. I stopped packing, looked at her directly, told her this wasn't confusion. This was clarity. She looked me in the eye 2 weeks before our wedding and told me she's still in love with another man. That's not a moment of panic. That's not cold feet. That's the truth finally coming out. And I'm not interested in being her backup plan while she decides between me and the great lost love of her life. I'm not postponing our wedding so she can explore her feelings for Blake. I'm not spending years wondering if she's actually happy with me or just settling because Blake didn't work out. I'm not starting a marriage with someone who needed her ex to come back to town to realize she might not actually want me. She tried a different approach. Started crying again. Softer this time. More calculated. Said Blake reaching out had just confused her. Said she was scared of the wedding. Scared of commitment. Scared of making the wrong choice. Said she just needed reassurance that we were making the right decision together. I asked her point blank. If Blake showed up right now and said he wanted her back, wanted to give their relationship another shot, what would she do? She couldn't answer. Just stood there with tears running down her face. Looked away. Twisted her engagement ring. That was all the answer I needed. I finished loading my truck, grabbed my dog Cooper from the backyard, golden retriever I'd gotten as a puppy 2 years ago, put his bed and food in the truck, drove to Garrett's place. He lives about 20 minutes away, works in our Houston office but was in town for the wedding, was supposed to be my best man. He took one look at me standing on his doorstep with Cooper and said I could stay as long as I needed. Set me up in his guest room, didn't ask a bunch of questions, just handed me the remote and ordered pizza. That was Friday afternoon. By Sunday, I had an apartment complex in Denver ready to show me units on Tuesday. By Monday, the house had 3 showings scheduled. By Tuesday, I was on a plane to Colorado with Cooper and 2 suitcases. The wedding day came and went. Saturday, December 16th. The day that was supposed to be the happiest of my life. I spent it hiking in Rocky Mountain National Park. Got absolutely destroyed by the altitude at 12,000 feet. Felt like my lungs were going to explode. But standing up there looking out over the mountains, I felt more at peace than I had in months. More clarity about my life than I'd had in years. Kennedy spent it watching her phone. Watching her life fall apart in real time. Update 1. 1 week later. It's been a week since I went nuclear on my entire life. Figured I'd update you all since a few people have been asking how things turned out. I'm writing this from Denver. Got here Tuesday night. Found an apartment in Lodo on Wednesday. Signed the lease Thursday. Got a corner unit on the 5th floor. Mountain views from the balcony. Walking distance to my new office. Complete opposite of Dallas suburbia. My furniture and boxes arrive Monday. Until then, I'm living out of 2 suitcases in an extended stay hotel with Cooper. And honestly, I'm more relaxed than I've been in months. Sleeping better. Eating better. Not checking my phone every 5 minutes. The house in Dallas sold fast. 3 showings. 2 offers came in. Accepted one yesterday. Apparently, Kennedy's interior design work made it highly desirable to buyers. That kitchen she spent 8 months designing is apparently exactly what people want these days. The irony isn't lost on me. Closing in 3 weeks. I'll walk away with enough equity to put down 30% on something out here. But let's talk about Kennedy, because this is where things got really interesting. Saturday would have been our wedding day. I spent it hiking like I mentioned. Kennedy spent it watching her entire world collapse. According to Garrett, who's been feeding me intel because mutual friends keep updating him, Blake's grand romantic gesture lasted exactly 72 hours. Blake took Kennedy out Tuesday night, 2 days after our canceled wedding. Tuesday, 2 days after she blew up our entire relationship. Fancy dinner at this steakhouse downtown, the kind with the $80 steaks and the sommelier. The whole romantic treatment. Kennedy apparently posted about it on Instagram. Some caption about trusting your heart and right person, right time. Got a bunch of likes from people who had no idea what had just happened. Wednesday, they spent the day together. More Instagram posts. Blake took her to the Dallas Arboretum, the place where they used to go when they were in college. Very romantic. Very meant to be. Very this is destiny bringing us back together. Thursday morning, Blake told Kennedy he wasn't actually ready for a serious relationship yet. You read that right. The guy she blew up her entire life for, the guy she called off her wedding for, decided 3 days later that he wasn't ready. Said he'd just gotten divorced 6 months ago. Said he was still processing the end of his marriage. Said he needed space. Said maybe they could revisit things in 6 months after he figured himself out. The guy who texted her 2 weeks before her wedding. Who told her he'd never stopped thinking about her. Who said moving back to Dallas was partly because he wanted another chance with her. That guy suddenly needed space. Kennedy called me Friday night. Hysterical. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail that was 7 minutes and 22 seconds long. I know because I looked at the timestamp before I deleted it without listening. Then she sent 15 text messages. All variations of the same thing. Crying. Apologizing. Saying she made the biggest mistake of her life. She said Blake just wanted to see if the spark was still there. That he never intended to actually get back together. That she'd thrown away our relationship for nothing. That she'd destroyed the best thing in her life for a fantasy that lasted 3 days. I didn't respond. Saturday morning, our actual wedding day, she called me 14 times. Sent me 30-plus text messages. Then she showed up at Garrett's house at 9 in the morning. Still in her pajamas. Eyes swollen from crying. Garrett answered the door. She asked if I was there. He said no. I'd already left for Colorado. She broke down on his doorstep. Begged him to give me a message. He closed the door. Texted me what happened. She sent me this long text Saturday afternoon. Said she understands if I hate her. Said she knows she doesn't deserve another chance. But we had something real. Something good. And she destroyed it over a fantasy. Over someone who didn't actually want her. She said she'd do anything to fix this. Anything to get me back. I responded with one text. You made your choice. I made mine. Good luck with everything. Then I blocked her number. Blocked her on Instagram. Blocked her on every platform I could think of. Here's what I've learned in 7 days. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Kennedy showed me that when push came to shove, when she had to choose between security and excitement, she chose excitement. That's not love. That's convenience with a backup plan. That's keeping someone around until something better comes along. My new job is great. The Denver office is smaller. Only 12 people compared to 40 in Dallas. But it's tight-knit. People actually talk to each other. My new boss actually appreciates my work. Told me yesterday she's glad to have someone with my experience. That the team needed someone who could close deals and wasn't afraid of hard work. I joined a hiking group through Meetup. Went on my first group hike Sunday morning. 6 people. We did this trail up to some lake. I wanted to die halfway up because the altitude is brutal. But everyone was encouraging. One guy gave me tips for dealing with the thin air. Another woman told me about good trails for beginners. I'm going again this weekend. I bought a Jeep yesterday. Something I'd always wanted but never got because Kennedy thought they were impractical and not good on gas. Turns out they're perfect for Colorado. Took it up a mountain road just to test it out. Cooper loved riding with his head out the window. My parents came out last weekend. Drove from Houston with my dad's trailer loaded with more of my stuff. Helped me pick out furniture at IKEA. My dad and I went fly fishing Saturday morning. Didn't catch anything, but it didn't matter. We just talked. He told me he was proud of me for not staying in a situation where I wasn't valued. Said it took more courage to walk away than to fight for someone who clearly didn't want to fight for you. Do I miss Kennedy? Sometimes. You don't just turn off 2.5 years of your life, But I don't miss the version of Kennedy who could look me in the eye and say she loved someone else. I miss the version I thought existed, the one who actually wanted to marry me, the one who was building a future with me instead of fantasizing about her ex. But that version never existed. It was just a character she was playing until something better came along. Life moves on faster than you think it will. Update 2. 3 months later. 3 months since everything imploded. Life has gotten significantly better, also significantly weirder. First, the career stuff. I'm killing it here in Denver. Closed 3 major deals last month. Big contracts, industrial equipment for manufacturing plants, the kind of sales that make your numbers for the whole quarter. My boss pulled me aside last Tuesday and said they're fast-tracking me for regional VP. That comes with a 40% raise in oversight of the entire Colorado-Wyoming territory. I'm 33 years old and about to be one of the youngest regional VPs in company history. The promotion goes through next month. The house in Dallas closed 6 weeks ago. I used my equity to put 30% down on a place here in Golden, about 20 minutes west of Denver. 3-bedroom house. Mountain views from the back deck. Walking distance to hiking trails. Cooper loves it. There's this trail system right behind the neighborhood. We go hiking every morning before work. I've been hiking every weekend. Did my first 14er last month. That's a mountain over 14,000 feet. Quandary Peak. Got absolutely destroyed by the altitude. Thought I was going to pass out around 13,000 feet. But I made it to the summit. Standing up there at 14,265 feet, looking out over the entire state, everything seems smaller. Your problems, your worries, your past. It's all just tiny down there. Joined a climbing gym in January. Turns out I'm decent at bouldering. There's something satisfying about figuring out a problem, looking at the wall, planning your route, executing it. Made some friends there. People who don't know anything about my past, who just know me as the guy who shows up 3 times a week and tries hard. Now for the Kennedy updates, because I know that's what people want to hear. She moved back in with her parents. Her interior design business is struggling. Turns out a lot of her clients were referrals from our mutual friends. And well, things are awkward now. People take sides in breakups, especially when one person calls off a wedding 2 weeks before it happens. Plus, word travels fast in Dallas social circles. People talk. Her reputation took a hit. Clients don't really want someone who can't commit to her own wedding planning their major renovations. She's apparently working part-time at a furniture store now. West Elm or something like that. According to Garrett, who still has mutual friends feeding him information, she's also taking medication for depression. Look, I don't take pleasure in her struggles, but I also don't feel guilty about them. She made her choice. Choices have consequences. She chose to blow up our relationship for a guy who didn't actually want her. Blake? His ex-wife divorced him and got half his assets in the settlement. House, cars, retirement accounts, the whole deal. He's apparently broke and trying to start over. There were rumors he was moving to Denver, some corporate position, but word travels fast in business circles. His reputation preceded him. The guy who leaves jobs suddenly, who can't commit to anything. I haven't run into him. Hope I never do. My old company in Dallas tried to get me back last month. My former boss called. Said they wanted to offer me a senior position. Same level Kennedy had been angling for but never quite got. Plus a signing bonus. $25,000 just to come back. I told them thanks but no thanks. Denver is home now. I'm not going backwards. Kennedy found out about the offer through the office grapevine. Someone told someone who told her. She texted me from a different number since I'd blocked her original one. The text said, "See? They want you back. Dallas wants you back. I want you back. You belong here. Come home." I didn't respond. But if I had, I would have told her that belonging somewhere isn't about people wanting you back after you've already left. It's about people appreciating you enough that you never want to leave in the first place. She definitely didn't appreciate me when she had me. Now she's living with the consequences of that reality. Final update, 6 months later. Final update. It's been 6 months since I canceled my wedding, sold my house, and moved to Denver. Figured I'd give you all closure since so many of you followed this saga from the beginning. Short version, life is incredible. 0 regrets. Long version, I'm now regional VP for the Colorado-Wyoming territory, as of last month, making almost double what I was making in Dallas. Bought that house in Golden, paid off my Jeep, added a mountain bike and full ski setup to my collection. Just got back from a week-long ski trip to Breckenridge. Turns out I'm decent at skiing. Who knew? My health is better. Lost 20 pounds total. Can actually run at altitude now, without feeling like I'm dying. My bank account is healthier. My entire outlook on life is better. I wake up excited about my day instead of dreading it. But here's what I really want to talk about. The mindset shift that came from taking decisive action when my boundaries were crossed. 6 months ago, I was a guy who thought compromise and working things out were always the mature response. I thought walking away made you a quitter. I thought fighting for your relationship, no matter what, was what good men do. I thought you had to earn love through persistence and patience and proving your worth. Now I realize that was complete garbage. Sometimes the most mature thing you can do is recognize when someone has shown you who they are and believe them the first time. Kennedy showed me that when she had to choose between me and Blake, she chose Blake. That's not love. That's not commitment. That's convenience with a backup plan. That's keeping someone around until something better comes along. Some final updates on Kennedy, since people always ask. She's still living with her parents in Dallas. Her interior design business basically collapsed. Last I heard through mutual acquaintances, she's working full-time at that furniture store now and still taking medication. She's not in a relationship. Blake moved to Denver like I mentioned, but apparently they never reconnected. He's dating someone else now. Someone in her 20s. The cycle continues. Do I feel bad about how things turned out for her? Not really. She made a choice. A very clear, very deliberate choice to blow up our relationship 2 weeks before our wedding. She gets to live with that. I made my choice too. To respect myself enough to walk away. And I'm living with those consequences very happily. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.